The email was never meant to be sent. It was supposed to stay hidden in the drafts, a quiet confession written late at night when the office was dark. Christmas lights blinked on her window, and loneliness felt heavier than usual. She had typed her Christmas wish without thinking, letting the words spill out honestly for the first time in years. She wished for a quiet holiday, for rest, for someone who could see her without demanding strength or perfection. Somewhere between exhaustion and hope, she hit send, never noticing the name in the recipient line. Her boss. She realized the mistake the next morning, and her heart nearly stopped. He was the last person she wanted reading something so personal. He was professional, distant, a single father who kept his life carefully contained between meetings and early departures to pick up his son. All day she waited for embarrassment or an awkward conversation, but none came. Instead, as evening settled and the office emptied, he approached her desk calmly, his expression unreadable yet gentle. He asked if she could walk with him for a moment. Outside, cold air wrapped around them as snow dusted the pavement. He told her he had received her message. She rushed to apologize, explaining it was a mistake. But he stopped her with a quiet sincerity that surprised her. He said he understood more than she realized. He spoke about long nights after his wife's death, about learning to be strong because his son needed him, and about how loneliness could exist even in a full room. Then he looked at her and lowered his voice, asking her to tell him her real wish. The question disarmed her. No one had ever asked her that without expectation. She admitted she was tired of being strong for everyone, tired of earning care instead of receiving it freely. She confessed she wanted to matter, not as an employee or a role, but as herself. He listened without interrupting, his presence steady and unhurried. In that moment, something shifted between them. The cold no longer felt sharp, and the silence felt safe instead of empty. Christmas lights reflected softly in the snow, and she realized that her accidental wish had reached the one person who truly understood it. For the first time in a long while, hope felt real, and the season no longer felt so lonely. She almost didn't go to the cafe. All day, doubt followed her like a shadow, whispering that she had already said too much, that last night's conversation should have ended with the snow. But when she saw him sitting by the window, hands wrapped around a coffee cup, eyes tired yet warm, something inside her eased. He looked less like her boss and more like a man carrying a quiet weight. He apologized for being late, explaining that his son had insisted on redecorating the Christmas tree for the third time that day because the lights didn't feel happy enough. The way he said it, half amused, half exhausted, made her smile without effort. They talked about small things at first, safe things, work deadlines, holiday traffic, how December always felt longer than other months. The cafe hummed softly around them, filled with laughter and clinking cups, yet their table felt separate, almost private. Then the conversation slowed. He looked at her carefully, as if choosing his words with respect. He told her he hadn't judged her message, not for a second. Instead, it reminded him of nights he spent awake after his son fell asleep, staring at the ceiling, wishing someone would ask how he was really doing. He admitted that being a single father meant always being needed, but never being held. His honesty surprised her, and before she realized it, she was answering him just as truthfully. She confessed how tired she was of pretending everything was fine, how lonely it felt to be surrounded by people yet unseen. She told him she missed being soft, missed being allowed to lean on someone without feeling guilty. He didn't interrupt or offer solutions. He simply listened, his attention steady, as if her words mattered more than time itself. When he spoke again, his voice was low and sincere. He told her about his son's Christmas list, short, messy handwriting asking not for toys, but for his dad to smile more. The confession tightened her chest. She realized then that they were standing on the same fragile ground, both holding themselves together for others. As they left the cafe, snow falling gently around them, there was no promise spoken aloud, but something unspoken settled between them, a shared understanding, a quiet connection. For the first time that season, Christmas didn't feel like an obligation. It felt like a beginning neither of them had planned, but both quietly needed. Christmas Eve arrived wrapped in silence, the kind that made memories louder. She spent the day convincing herself she was content, that being alone was easier than hoping for more. Just as dusk settled and snow began to fall, her phone buzzed with a message from him. He asked if she would like to come over for cookies and hot chocolate, adding that there was no pressure at all. She stared at the screen for a long moment before replying yes, her heart beating faster than it had in days. His house was warm and softly lit, decorated in imperfect ways that felt real rather than staged. His son greeted her with immediate excitement, proudly showing her the Christmas tree and the lopsided cookies they had already baked. She laughed more that evening than she had all month, surprised by how easily she fit into the space. There was no awkwardness, no need to perform. She was simply there, and that seemed to be enough. Later, after the child fell asleep on the couch beneath a blanket, the house grew quiet. The glow from the tree reflected off the windows, and the air felt calm instead of heavy. She thanked him for inviting her, admitting she hadn't realized how much she needed the company. He told her that the house had felt empty before she arrived. Even with the lights on and music playing, they sat close but not touching, sharing the comfortable silence of two people who finally felt understood. He turned toward her, his voice low, repeating the question he had asked before. He asked her to tell him her real wish. This time, she didn't hesitate. She said she wanted to be chosen, not out of habit or convenience, but because someone truly wanted her presence. He reached for her hand, gentle and certain, and asked her to stay. No grand promises followed, only the quiet certainty of the moment. Outside, snow continued to fall, but inside, warmth settled deep and steady. That Christmas Eve, two lonely hearts found something unexpected, not perfection, but belonging and the kind of hope that feels like coming home. Christmas morning unfolded slowly, sunlight filtering through the curtains and resting softly on the tree. She woke on the couch, to the faint smell of coffee and the sound of a child humming somewhere down the hall. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then warmth rushed back to her chest as she remembered everything, the cookies, the laughter, the quiet promise in his voice when he asked her to stay. She sat up just as his son appeared, grinning, holding two slightly burnt pieces of toast like trophies. He announced proudly that breakfast was ready and that Christmas was officially starting. In the kitchen, he stood by the counter, sleeves rolled up, looking more relaxed than she had ever seen him. Their eyes met, and there was a softness there, something unspoken but understood. No awkward explanations followed, no rushed conversations about what this meant. Instead, they shared coffee, laughter, and small moments that felt strangely familiar, as if life had gently slipped them into a scene they were meant to reach all along. When gifts were opened, she tried to fade into the background, but his son pulled her back in, insisting she sit close. One small box was handed to her, wrapped unevenly in bright paper. Inside was a simple ornament, handmade, with her name written carefully in a child's handwriting. Her breath caught, and she felt tears sting her eyes. It wasn't the gift itself, but what it represented. Being included without asking, being thought of without earning it. Later, while his son played quietly nearby, he stepped closer to her. He thanked her for coming, then admitted that the house had felt lighter since she walked in. He confessed that he hadn't, realized how much he had been holding, back from life until she accidentally sent that wish. He told her that sometimes the most honest things are shared by mistake, and that maybe Christmas had simply chosen the right moment to intervene. She admitted she had been afraid to hope, afraid to imagine a place where she belonged without question. He didn't rush her, didn't make promises too large for the moment. He simply told her that if she was willing, he wanted to see where this could go, slowly, honestly, together. As Christmas morning settled around them, she realized her real wish had already been answered. Not with perfection or certainty, but with warmth, choice, and a place where her presence mattered. And for the first time in years, she didn't feel like a guest in her own life.